Okay, hello, this is Icky Chic Designs, and I'm Linda, and I'm so happy you're here with me. I just gave you a peek of this in another video, and I wanted to talk about it some more because this is so fun to do. Now, I'm calling this my slow stitch Bohemian style patchwork, and that is exactly what it looks like, okay? I can imagine Bohemian women taking scraps of whatever they had and patchworking it up. Okay. Now mine, I utilize my snippet size pieces, my little crumb pieces, and my confetti pieces. And when I say confetti, I do mean confetti. It's very little, tiny stuff. And that will be, some of that will be going on at the finish. And I've got a piece or two here, but mostly right now I'm laying down the snippet sizes and the crumb sizes. Now to me, a crumb size is smaller than a snippet. So I'll have three sizes: snippet, crumb, and confetti. And the confetti is more of an embellisher than it is anything else. But as you can see, basically I just started a little off center, and I put a piece down. And then I laid another one and another one and another one kind of around it and started stitching. And then I came around and added another one and started stitching. Then I added more to this side and stitch. You can add how you want. As you can see, I have, let me see if I can bring you up a little. I have pieces pinned along the outside here. All this part has been stitched up to here, from here to here. So I'm stitching around this outer layer here that I've got there. And everything is just plain straight stitched. And I'm stitching with different colored threads. This is using up whatever scrap threads are hanging on my light over my head here. I love projects like this too, because it helps me to use all these threads. And right now I don't have a ton of them. That's what I've got right now. But sometimes I have a whole wad of thread up there that I need to use and utilize. And but this is a wonderful way to use your snippets. Now I have a snippet tub. I have my regular scrap tub that sits on the floor here by me, because those are bigger pieces. But when I get down to a pretty small piece of scrap, sometimes I go ahead and cut it up into snippet sizes, which for me is about, anywhere from 1.5, something like that wide. It can be a little longer, it can be rectangled, but an inch, 1.5 squared, if I'm going to square it out, is about as big as I want a snippet piece. And then the crumbs are usually they're just very small pieces that are left over from other things. And so in other words, I have a tub of those already. Let me get that and show it to you. I have a tub of snippets already cut. I mean, I add to this all the time. And so you can see the shapes, but they're all about the same size, basically, just different shapes and things. But I have a ton of these, and I try to keep this full at all time, because I use a lot of projects with stuff like this. And this, if you have it already cut up, it's so easy then to jump into one of these Bohemian style patchworks and just work away, because all your fabric is ready and sized and ready to go already. All right, I think, yes, I'm right here. I'm just doing a plain running stitch is all I'm doing. No fancy stitches at this point. If you wanted to do that, that's perfectly fine. You can do this like a crazy quilt. It kind of looks like Bohemian crazy slow stitching, doesn't it? And but you can do a decorative embroidery for sure. You can use it as a background and then create a slow stitch floral pattern or something on top of it and use it strictly as a background. You can embellish it out and leave it as a wall hanging. There's just so many things you can do with it. If you want to, you put it on like a quilting batting backing, and you have a great patch to put on jeans, clothing, other things that you might want to just patch. Okay. And you're overlapping fabrics, basically. If you've ever done a log cabin quilt, where you start in the center and you keep adding to the sides and keep going around and round and round, well, that's kind of the same basic thing we're doing here. We start with something and then we start, going around it. The different shapes will tell you what you're going to end up with, because it's not square and it's not circular, and you want to mix up for a true patchwork look. You want to mix up the colors and patterns and things like that. I have quite a few vintage fabrics. Sometimes when I'm out thrifting, I run across vintage fabric, and sometimes that vintage fabric is old enough to where it's very fragile, actually, and it's not something that you would make anything out of except something decorative. And so I cut a lot of vintage fabric up for snippets, and that works really well. So probably half the fabrics or more that go into this piece are actually vintage fabrics. Same way with old clothing. Sometimes you go to estate sales, you run across vintage clothing, and sometimes they're not in the best shape. They might have some holes or tears, or seams are coming apart, things like that. And so it's a great way then to let's go over here and pick this one up. Just cut them up, put them in your vintage snippet bucket. No fancy stitches, no particular size stitching. Just get around the pieces. All you're doing is a utility stitch that gets your stitch down, gets your piece of fabric secured down. That's all you're doing. Now, if they were going to actually use this for a patch on something, you might pay more attention to keeping your stitches tighter, closer together for strength. But in this case, we're not doing that. So we're just, getting the pieces stuck down to the background with thread. And look how simple this is and how much fun this is. And you can just, just don't have to be a straight line. You can whoppy doodle everything if you want to. A Bohemian slow stitch patchwork. Remember that, because it'll keep you scrap happy for years to come. Okay. I hope you caught my my video on the stitch by stitch update, and also my collaboration reveal, because I'm really excited about collaborating with Marcia over at Markets of Sunshine. we're making landscapes. We're doing the background part of the landscape, and then we're mailing that to each other, and then we're going to each finish off in our style the landscape that we receive. So it's going to be fun. One reason is because Marcia and I have totally different styles, and so it's a good way to get out of your comfort zone, work with something else besides your own work, and just play with it and have fun. And it's the adventure of seeing what you can do. And so I'm excited about that. And we will probably be mailing those to each other next week. So in probably a week or two, we'll have videos up on how we're progressing with the landscapes that we got and what we're doing with them. So you'll want to catch those videos and follow along with us. And you have time, if you have a friend and you want to get in on this collab, well, you can contact that friend and tell them, hey, let's do what Linda and Marcia are doing. And let's make a landscape background and get it to each other, and then we'll each finish the other's landscape out and see what we come up with. And so you'll have plenty of time to do that before Marcia and I get into ours. So you can actually work along with us that way, you know. And I would highly recommend that you visit Marcia, subscribe to her channel. It's a wonderful channel. She's got a lot of stuff going on. She has her own Etsy shop, and she does a lot of kits and designs for that. So you can always learn and get new ideas. And if you do like to purchase kits, well, she'll have them available. And but she's always coming up with something new and original, and very much in the cottagecore style to me, very homespun, very, you know, the last, you know, home crafter type design style, just very, very homey. And I really like it. It just appeals to the heart. So be sure to check out our channel. Okay, we're getting around this. We're just about to run out of our purple thread here, and we'll be having to switch to a new color. Well, that got kind of thick right there. Sometimes it goes through like butter, sometimes it goes like you're trying to put it through steel. But like I said, it can get a little tough at times because you're layering up several things. And all fabrics come, you know, different densities, and tight weaves are hard to get needles through, and, you know, just things like that. So sometimes if the fabrics had a lot of sizing in them or things. Let's go. Don't you like the way this patchwork looks? I do. You know, I think I'm going to make, when I get through with this one right here, the next time I start one, I'm going to make, I believe, either coasters or pot holders out of them. And I just think it would be cool. And what a good way to make them practical. So I may take my stitch by stitch project, go to maybe a 5 by 5 or 5.5 by 5.5. Anyway, and do that and utilize them as coasters or pot holders. And I think that would be a cool way to do that stitch by stitch project. And do several with the Bohemian patchwork here. Because believe me, you saw how big my tub of snippets is. And I have plenty of scraps in the wings over here, just waiting for me to chop them up to use them for something else. So I have no chance of running out of material here for this. And so I think that will be my next idea for making my stitch by stitch. And I didn't put the number in my last video, and I've got to do that again. I've got to take count and see what I'm up to, how many of the stitch by stitch squares I've made so far this year. I know the last time I counted it was, I believe, 30. And 30 that I've made, and several ways that I had used them was in that last stitch by stitch video that I did. And I showed you how I'd been using them. And I'm also incorporating some of the ones that I make into my wall hanging. So that's where a lot of that has gone too. So it's not that I'm not working on it, believe me. They're just getting used all over the place. And I forget to keep count as I'm working them into other projects, how many actual squares I'm making. So I've got to stop and get that count for you guys, because I know you're interested, the ones that are following the project, doing it, working in along with me. Don't forget, we do have a hashtag, and if you are working the project and you have a YouTube channel, please, if you make a video, use the hashtag so I can find you. Whoops. I'm always and forever looping a safety pin. Not a safety pin, straight pin. Okay, let's see, where are we at now? Let me bring you back down. Okay, we're fixing to go around. This one. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this piece yet, for sure. And, okay, well, let me straighten out my thread here. I don't know how come it got whoopie-doodle like that, but it did. I guess it hurt that I don't mind whoopie-doodle, so I just decided to do it on its own. Okay, but if it does get out of whack like that, it tends to knot up easier, so take the time to put it back together. Okay, we can take another straight pin out, which is always helpful. Okay. Now you will find that, you know, that most of the time I'm trying to go around each piece individually. I know that a lot of that stitching will get covered up on the perimeters because I'm going to lay other pieces on top, but that's okay. It's just a way to make sure that everything is secured, and it's, you know, no problem if it's stitched down twice. It won't hurt anything. Let's get that one in there like that. Let's come over here and see if we can catch that. Ah! You know what I did, don't you? Yeah, that's what I did, all right. Looped it over the fabric instead of going from the front to the back. I went to the back, and so looped my thread right over the fabric. I have a pair of scissors that I swear I have never had a pair of scissors so tight as this one, that it takes all the strength I've got to get this thing open sometimes. Isn't that something? Look how tight that is. Oh, it'll wear you out. I don't use it too much because it's hard on my hands to use it. You know, keep it for something like I'm doing now. And I don't know how in the world that I would ever loosen it up. I guess maybe I could try loosening it, but then, what if I loosened it up so much it didn't cut? Well, anyway, you know how you are. You got a pair of scissors for this and a pair of scissors for that, and this one's just going to be my little thread snipper, because then I don't have to use it constantly. I just love, 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 love the way this is looking. This is so scrappy and so me. This is what I call doing me well. When I do me well, I'm in love with my pieces. And I swear, I've always sworn that I'm half gypsy. Somewhere, somehow. And Bohemian is right up my alley. I always thought I'd love to live in one of those beautifully decorated gypsy caravans. Oh, that'd be so wonderful. I could just sit in there all day long and all night long, stitch away amidst all that glamorous color and texture and all the handmade things. Oh, wow. Okay, we got to come down this side. Well, that one's going actually there. Let's come up and catch this corner. And come into this pink piece of lace. Okay. It's coming together, isn't it? We've worked around some more. We've actually just got a couple of 3 more pins in there. 4 actually. Well, we can take, no, he's holding that down. And we'll work on that some more. I'll work on this some more off camera, and when I get it completed, I'll show it to you. And I just think that you're going to love this. I mean, what is not to love about this? Okay. Remember, slow stitch, Bohemian style patchwork. Beautiful, beautiful. Stay scrap happy.